I've actually been going and doing talk to staff to help them to understand carers. So, but I think that's run by the NHS. Um, so I've done several of them, and what happened was after the Taunton event, I got invited to go to social services, um, their like regional meetings, and talk about being a carer. And so I'd just done one in Taunton, which apparently went down very, very well. And so after that, the hospital team contacted me and said, Vicky contacted me and said, could I possibly do one to the hospital social worker, his team, and do that. So I went to Monk's Yard and I was involved with them and did a talk. And Emma from CCS was also there, and she was talking about the carers and things. And from that, we had, well, they just put so much into action. The hospital team did. It was really brilliant. Like it really felt like it'd been worth it, because sometimes you just think it isn't worth it, because sometimes things don't go right, you know. But the hospital team really did put action plans into place from what we'd spoken to, particularly what I'd spoken about. So that was a real boost to, yeah, to me, but also a lot of help to other people and to not myself, because Nigel had already died by that stage, but things I'd come across, they listened to, and so other people have been helped by it. Doesn't always work, but I have now got contacts, and if I ever got in touch with Vicky or anyone and said, look, you know, somebody's not getting anything, she'd give me a contact detail or something, and I've got a couple of contact details now. So if something's going wrong, I can actually contact them and say, you know, this is going wrong, and anonymize it or go through the encrypted, and it's always got sorted out. So they do listen if something has gone wrong. Well, this is what I told the carers group after his meeting, and I then got what they emailed me to say what actions they put into place. So it said, I said, if they achieve what their plan thinks, it will certainly improve. Hospital social workers will hope to be far more visible and contactable. There'll be a hospital agent in each hospital, like a village agent. They are also hoping that carers will be advised soon after admission that their loved one will probably have to go into a care home on discharge, so the care plan and equipment can be organised for return to home, so that there is no distress caused by discussion of this person is still in acute hospital, using a home like the community hospital used to be used. The problem was that we had one of our carers, it was discussed about her mum coming home in front of the mother, and the mother got so upset. And I said, you must not talk about coming home, and because somebody with dementia or something like that just says, oh, well, I'm coming home today, you know, they don't have any concept of time. So in some hospitals, there is a sign behind the patient's bed that means this patient is not to be moved from ward to ward. Because I found with Nigel, when he'd been in, that sometimes he'd been moved at night time, you know. And I went in one day, and he was on a pureed food, and I mean, I always had a This Is Me with me, but he was moved during the night. So when I got there about 10, he'd got a piece of toast. And I said, what on earth are you eating? And of course they said, would you like toast and marmalade? And he said, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's what he wanted. He didn't want pureed food. And also at the end of his life, they did actually not move him, because I find, you know, when people have got used to somebody, particularly with dementia, it's so important that they don't get moved into a situation they don't understand. So that was one of the things they said they were trying to do. And they are also fighting hard to prevent people from being discharged on Friday afternoons, so that discharge is on a Monday morning instead. Because Friday afternoon, somebody discharged, you then at the weekend, you've got no support. It just doesn't work. So Then I got a letter following our carers event, which you kindly attended. I want to update you on the actions we've taken. Right, so CCS and HIS have started a joint interactive talking cafe to support the work they do in the acute hospitals. These events happen the second Tuesday on every month in both Musgrave Park Hospital and Yeovil District Hospital. They will enable individuals, their families, carers and health colleagues to have access to advice and information from both social care and community and voluntary sectors and increase our visibility in the acute hospitals. And there was a poster about this, promoting this initiative. We are hoping to be able to offer free car parking to any unpaid carers who attend the events. We have posters in all the wards showing who the linked social care professionals are. Because when Nigel was in, I didn't even know there was a hospital social worker. I had no idea. I didn't even know there was one, let alone what they look like. We've also got a leaflet out to print, which we will be giving to individuals and carers we engage with in Musgrave Park Hospital and YDH, so that they know how to contact social care in the acute hospitals. Again, this should improve our visibility. Finally, we've appointed 2 individuals to be carers champions, Mark and Sharon, and I wondered if you would happy to meet them as part of their induction to that role and how we continue this positive relationship. So that was really, really, it was like, whoa, something's actually happened. It was lovely. I'm now on working together board, which is multidisciplinary. And so we are then involved, I'm involved in that as well now. So it's not as if we did things and then it all just got left. We have regular follow-ups. And if I'm thinking that something hasn't been done or, from that was supposed to be done, I can sort of flag it and say, well, what happened about that? And I say it doesn't always happen straight away, but it does happen a lot. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's certainly progressing. I think it's very, very good that that it's moving forward. And when you look at, well, I've got some of because we live on the borders of Devon. When I looked at stuff for Devon, there wasn't anything nearly as good. And that was quite noticeable. Because obviously they're just coming over the border, so they come to our carers group perhaps. And when I did look into it, they don't have what we've got here. I think here we are, although nobody wants to be in this situation. I mean, we've got something like I think it's 53,000 unpaid carers in Somerset, and it's trying to get people to understand that although ours isn't necessarily brilliant, it is so much better than some of the other counties. And there's a lot more listening to people with lived experience, and there's a lot more going on for people, and people can get help. But the problem is a lot of people don't recognise themselves as a carer to begin with. I mean, that's the hardest bit, is actually getting somebody to recognise they are a carer. I've got somebody at the moment, and he's definitely a carer, but at the moment he's not. I mean, he's contacting me all the time, but he's not registered as a carer or anything. It's almost like he feels, he's the husband, so he should actually be looking after her. And you can't push somebody. You've got to let them do it in their own time. So I think that's it. And the other thing is that respite care. It is improving. It's not right yet, but it is improving, because unless carers get respite, they will go under. I mean, I got breast cancer in the middle of it all.
Oh.
I didn't get help as much as I should have done. And so I can actually say to people, look, please believe me. And they see me now because I'm confident, I'm okay. I said, look, I've got poems that tell you just how flipping awful it was. And they say, but you got through it. And I said, yes, you will. But and it will be slightly better for you now than it was for me. The only advantage was that when Nigel got it, there was the integrated team. So I'd phoned up at a weekend to leave a message for Monday morning, and I got somebody from, I think it was Langport, and I had a social worker, a physiotherapist, and an OT all come on a Sunday afternoon, you know, which was brilliant. Because they assessed what we needed, you know, it was just magic. I mean, but that doesn't happen quite like that now. But that was, and I was so sad that stopped, because that was that really did work, and it worked for me. But you know, I think, say again, the financial side, if people know they can get some help, then they're worried about getting a carer in a micro provider. I mean, micro providers are brilliant. I mean, I can't believe you've got other areas where they haven't got micro providers, because they're so good, because the care companies let us down quite often. And we had, during that time, I was with a care company, we had 13 different carers, and every time he came, because it was a rare form of dementia, I had to explain the whole thing, you know. And when we got micro providers, I'm still in touch with 3 of the micro providers that Nigel had. They're my friends now, and that happens with a lot of the micro providers. They become friends of the family, and they're very, very precious. And I think that's a brilliant service that Somerset provide.
Hello, my name is Ginta. I'm an advanced practitioner in health interface team. So it's a social worker team in Musgrove Park Hospital. We have a team in Yeovil Hospital as well. And we have carers champions to support the carers and cared for while they're in a hospital. Mark is the carers champion in Yeovil District Hospital, and Sarah just started this role in Musgrove Park Hospital. We're trying to spread the message about how much we should acknowledge and try and support the unpaid carers. Mark, do you want to say a bit about how is it working and what do you do on your side?
Yeah, so thanks, Ginta. I work at Yeovil Hospital, and I've been here now for around about 2 years. And within the first 6 months or so, I was given the role of carer champion. So that is to basically be the kind of the link worker for all the unpaid carers and all the heroes that look after the ill people that come through Yeovil Hospital. And it's a difficult job to pinpoint carers, because very often, you know, a large proportion of carers don't see themselves as such. They see themselves as husbands, wives, daughters, sons. And so it's very much a case by case kind of linking people in to the support that they want, not what they need. It's what they want, you know. So it's working with each person on a case by case basis, and you know, getting them the support they need, you know, whether that is something as simple as the phone number for Somerset Direct so they can self-refer to get themselves a carers assessment, or something like a referral to the village agent service to get them linked in with carer support groups in their area. Even something like a dog walking service so they can get that respite from looking after their mum or dad's dog. So it's taking that step back from your role as a social worker, I think, or an ASCP, and being a friend first, and not being scared to go onto the ward and talk to people as humans, and try not to be that clinical voice, because you're the voice taking someone back to the real world.
So we have the services and the discharge pathways, and when people come in, and you know, some people have the support in place, some people just carry on because it feels that's we have to do as a husband, as a wife, as a child, you know, that's my responsibility. And sometimes we have to sort of talk to them and said, it's okay to say that you cannot do this anymore. You know, we can't force you. We don't want to force you. You know, you have your own health issues. and you have to for them to say it's okay to say that you're not well, you know, that it's too much now and you need help. It's absolutely fine. It's not a failure. And sometimes people just need that validation from someone else to say that, you know, that they're not going to be judged or anything like that. And some of it can be very reluctant, but then you have to go say, look, you know, you have to look after yourself. If you know, overdo and just drop and just can't do it anymore, that person might end up in a placement. So you try to talk to them and explain that their health and their well-being is just as important. And it's nothing wrong to accept that support. So we have a discharge to assess pathway 1, where, you know, the cared for will be discharged with that, and they can do assessments in their own home and see what support they require without the carer, and just put a package in place for them for that. So the carer are able to do their own things, or the carer might say, I'm okay to continue with doing the meals, but obviously personal care is very intimate. And then, you know, child, mum, husband, those roles change from suddenly you become a carer. So we want to take them back and give them, be that role again, be a husband, be a wife, rather than just a carer. At least they might, okay, I don't mind doing the meals, but like personal care and getting them dressed, it's a bit too much. So we can put a package of care for that, you know, so they spend more time as a family rather than a carer. So there are things, and sometimes, as difficult as it could be for them, we have to use pathway 3, where people go into a bedded facility for long-term placement, because sometimes it's not possible anymore for them. They need 24/7 support, and you have elderly wife, elderly husband, and they really cannot manage anymore themselves and their loved ones' care at home. But then we always say, well, you know, it's not easy to say, yeah, it's not giving up. It's just you've done all you can. But if this person is going to go to nursing home or residential home, you can visit them as a wife, as a husband, and as a child, and not to be the carer anymore, and just get that relationship back, you know, and you have quality of life and they will have a quality of life. So it's just that non-judging and offering that help and letting them choose, and recognizing when they, you know, might feel ashamed that they say, oh, I can't support them anymore, or and sort of to let them know that it's okay to be not okay. And to ask for help, because, you know, a lot of them as well, you know, they will be not in their 20s, obviously, they'll have their health issues, and they're cared for, especially when we have people with dementia, like we know, it could be quite, it could be 24/7. If it's not physical, it could be mental, you know, if the person doesn't recognize their spouse, it's they're grieving their family member already while looking after them, and then, you know, they have to go through so many emotions and then have to look after that person at the same time. So they're doing such an amazing job, you know, so we have to support them as much as possible. And I think from the hospital point of view as well, like Sarah mentioned, we're very, very passionate about spreading that message for people to make these contingency plans to avoid that stress for the carer and the cared for. So if they had like a message in the bottle on the fridge for the ambulance people, call my daughter, call my neighbor, or very clearly, we need adult social care. So maybe it would prevent that cared for to actually being brought into A&E, which is obviously a very busy environment. And if they have cognitive issues, it's not the best place. So I think with community groups and GP surgeries and village agents, when we talk to them, we just ask them, please, please, please spread this message and encourage people to make those plans. And hopefully we'll get there one day that everyone will have one. So we have carers pack provided us by village agents. So the carers pack, they will have a numbers to call for the carers group. There's a, you know, where the carers group are, what times of, you know, days and months and things like that. And it's just one number to call. There will be village agents, and they will be able to support them with maybe some sitting services. I know when they do carers groups, there are volunteers who can do sitting services for the cared for. With the car parking, it usually goes through the ward sister. A ward sister can sign. There's a paper that they can sign, and they can take it to the parking to say that they're here, and it's very important for them to be here every day or every other day. So that goes on the ward level. But us is just for guidance into the carers groups and a phone number, and just to let them know, because not everyone's aware that there are actually things like that around. Not just package of care, something for the care as well, where they can go and talk with people who in the same boat, as to say, and they live through that. So it's very important for them to know that there is available. And as we talked in the previous in the meeting before, we can put direct payment for the care, so they can do their own things for themselves. We don't do that very often in a hospital, obviously, because it's a lot longer term assessment, but we can always, as Mark said, invite them to call Somerset Direct and have it done in the community. But we definitely can discharge them with support like a discharge to assess or any other pathways that might be needed at the time. And the front door, when the person is not safe, definitely not safe to be alone, because they might be looking for the care, and the care needs to be admitted. We arrange an emergency respite for them, for the cared for, if they cannot be at home with a package of care. So usually we get the funding on the same day for up to 2 weeks. And then we call the care homes. Sometimes, actually, recently wasn't too bad, Sarah. We managed to get something on the same day, on the next day.
We have been quite lucky, and I think building up our relationships with some of our care home managers has really helped, and that's really benefited us. And we do have some really good links with some local care homes here in Taunton that we are able to use, and they are happy to accept same day as well. And like Ginta said, we've been able to get the funding same day, so there's no delay in that person being kept in the hospital, and it also allows the carer to then concentrate on themselves then here in the hospital, knowing that the person they care for is going to be looked after and not moved around a hospital setting.